This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Groomer Humor on Pet Life Radio. We are your hosts, Anthony Ray.
And I'm Rudy V.
And it's nice to meet everybody. This is our first episode here, so we wanted to sort of get into a little bit about ourselves, and so you guys could kind of get to know us right out of the gate. We are father and son. You are my dad, right, Rudy V?
I am your dad, and you are my son, and we are not only dog groomers, but we're also stand-up comedians.
Yes,
by night.
Stand-up comedians by night. By nightfall, we take the stage, and we try to make people laugh. So that's actually one of the reasons why we called the show Groomer Humor, because we're both. We're comedians, we're dog groomers, we act, we do it all. So that's sort of what we are. We're kind of goofballs.
Oh yeah. There's nothing serious about our day as we as we dog groom our lives away.
Yes.
And from the looks of our stand-up comedian career, we'll be dog grooming a mighty long time. Trust me.
Yeah, right. It's good that we at least know how to do something other than comedy. We think we're funny, but I don't know if that's the consensus.
I like the hat, though. That's a funny hat. I like that. You're indoors wearing a wool cap. That looks nice on you.
Yeah, thanks. We're 30 seconds into our first episode, and you're already making fun of me. I love it. Yeah. I like hats. Hats. You're not the only one either. I'm getting tired of everybody making fun of my headwear. All right. Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, we're gonna, for this episode, like I said, it's our first one, so we really want to tell you guys who we are and how kind of focus on how we started getting into the business of dog grooming and comedy too. So we're gonna get into all of that in our first episode right after these messages.
Sit, stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
It's designerpetsweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, so we're back here, first episode of Groomer Humor, and so Dad, why don't you sort of talk about how you got into it? How did it all start, grooming-wise?
Yeah, for me, it all started, I think, when I was a kid. I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I guess I was always that kid that, always brought home a stray dog or cat. And being from New Jersey, there was no shortage of that pregnant junkyard dog or the alley cat that delivered, 6 kittens. And I was always that kid that just had a puppy and a kitten in my hands, and I'd bring them home. But at that time, living with 2 Italian immigrant parents, dogs weren't allowed in the house. And that was a big thing back then, where nowadays that's unheard of because we've humanized our dogs so much.
Yeah, it's old school.
Yeah, that's old school, but thank God for the change. But yeah, so I had 2 older sisters and an older brother who would, just help me sneak the puppy in. And my mother would scream and yell at me and say that the dog can't, in her Italian accent, Rudy, please, the dog can stay inside. That's it. He's got to stay outside. So I would just, I would okay it, and I would say, all right, fine. I'd ask my sisters, please, let's hide the dog. We would hide the dog in a pillowcase or, behind the couch. And my mother, my mom would come in because, hear the puppy barking or yelping or whatever, or crying. And she'd come in screaming and yelling, in her Italian accent, Rudy, I thought I told you he's got to stay outside. And I'd beg and say, Mom, please, can we please just keep him in here for one night? And she would say, okay, but don't tell your father. 5 minutes later, my father would come into the room and he'd say, Rudy, I thought I told you the dogs got to stay outside. And I'd say, Dad, please, can we just please keep them inside? He would say, okay, but don't tell your mother. So, that was the consensus of just, having all these pets. And my mom would say to me, one day you're going to grow up, you're going to own a zoo. And my love for animals, not just dogs and cats, just all animals, had just started when I was very young. And by the time I got older and got a little more established, and got my own place, I felt the freedom of having as many pets as I want. So, I just collect a stray here and there. I ended up with about maybe 4 dogs, 7 cats, a set of lovebirds, 2 sets of parakeets, finches, an aquarium. I mean, my entire life has just been based around animals. And, and I've never been happier in my life because my mom was right. I basically did own a zoo.
Yeah, but, set of lovebirds. I don't even remember them.
I don't know why they call them lovebirds. Every time I would reach into the cage, they bite me. So they peck at my finger. They draw blood. I don't know how much love was there. I think they loved each other. They definitely hated me, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I love birds. I don't know that I'd ever own one, though. They scare me. And I don't remember what comedian said it once, but he said he doesn't want any of his pets outliving him. And I've heard that about certain species of birds. They live forever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have a 90-year-old cockatoo.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like they go,
Yeah. I wish our dogs and cats had that lifespan.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome, But So again, I couldn't be happier, and I ended up at 1985. I ended up going to grooming school. I attended Nash Academy of Animal Arts at the time it was in Cliffside Park, New Jersey. It was a 45-minute drive from my house, and it was full time all day. And I did that for about 4 months straight, and got my grooming certificate and ended up working for a couple of groomers. And I never turned back. I've been grooming for the past 33 and a half years of my life. And,
wow, it has been that long, right?
Yeah. And so it's been a joy. I mean, it has its ups and downs. It's not easy. It's not an easy job by any means. It's actually very difficult. You have to have a lot of patience, not just with the dogs or cats, but with people. Sometimes as a dog groomer, you see a lot of different pets. So you have this whole different insight to dogs where you're actually teaching people about their own dogs sometimes that they might not. And it's a lot of communication. You have to communicate with the customer. You have to make friends with the dog, gain its trust. But we're going to talk more about that stuff as time goes on, with the radio show. And it's for anyone out there that's like looking to do it. I mean, if you have a love of dogs and cats and you have a pretty steady hand, it's not just love. I mean, you have to be good at it. It's, you wouldn't become a mechanic if you didn't know how to hold a wrench in your hand. Yeah. And there's a lot of that. You have to know certain techniques. You have to have a steady hand. You have to be good with holding clippers and tools and brushes. And so there's a whole element of grooming that, I think we want to get across, you and I, as longtime dog groomers. Again, I love it. And I think your story is, just as interesting. You're my son.
Yeah, we have some very big similarities to each of our own stories and some big differences, too, at the same time. But before we get into mine, I always wondered this, and I've never actually asked you this. Did being a groomer have anything to do with you becoming a comedian in any way? That just sort of like anything about it, like the fact that maybe that grooming is 9 times out of 10 a 9 to 5 type thing. Did you ever feel like that time you had at night where you were spent and and you just wanted to? What made you go from being a groomer to being both a groomer and a comedian?
That's a really good question, because I actually set out to be a comedian way before I set out to be a dog groomer. I really never set out to be a dog groomer. It wasn't something, I wasn't, in 6th grade. And when they were asking, kids, what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman. Oh, I want to be a cop. I want to be a nurse. I didn't raise my hand and say, oh, I want to be a dog groomer. I don't even think dog grooming was even a thing back then. So, you know what I mean? But no, it's a good question. No, I actually set out to be a stand-up comedian, and I went to an open mic at a comedy club called Bananas, and I put my name on the open mic list, and I was like fifth or sixth on the list. And as I was watching these comedians go up on stage, I became so terrified where I was literally shaking and becoming nauseous that right before they called my name, I ran out of the building and jumped in my car. And I said, just being terrified of going up on stage. And I actually got really depressed from that. It bummed me out because it was something I really, really wanted to do, but just at the time couldn't overcome that fear that you know of at this point because you just started doing it a couple years ago. And then I just needed something. And you know what it was? I went back home. And the thing that helped me was my dogs as nervous, not the birds, not the lovebirds. Not the birds. Trust me. But I was so depressed, literally crying, feeling like a loser, feeling like I can't do something. But it didn't stop my dog Nookie from coming up to me and, rolling over and putting his head on my lap. You know what I'm saying? And I think maybe I realized it right then and there. Maybe I should do something with dogs and cats. And, at first it was like, oh, well, maybe I could be a vet. Because again, dog grooming wasn't popular. It's getting popular now. It's just starting to get popular now, really, in my opinion. This time. Yeah. I mean, and it was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be a vet. I mean, I'm a C+ student at best. So, the vet school's not you
got me by a letter grade.
Well, it's in our genes. But and then I literally just thumbed through the yellow pages and I came across the grooming school. And at the time there was two. There was New York School of Dog Grooming. There was Nash Academy of Animal Arts. And another one here in Jersey that I forget the name of. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I clip my own dog's nails. I think I can do this. And I did it. And we could talk more about that at a later, because that whole experience was crazy in itself.
That's an entire topic in itself there, yeah.
I walked into a room of 25 girls. I was the only guy. I kind of encouraged me to stay, to be honest with you.
Sure,
But, at the time, it wasn't a guy thing. It wasn't for men. It was just outnumbered by women. And but now I think it's for everybody. But you know what? Why don't we go to break? And when we come back, let's hear a little bit about your story. Because, again, you're my son and your story is my story as well. So we're going to go to break and we'll be back in a minute.
Okay, time to call off the dogs. We'll be back with more biting topics right after we kibble a little with our sponsors.
Ew, get the stinky dog away from me. Bad breath and bad gas. Petey stopped eating. All his hair fell out.
Itching, licking, missing fur.
At least $5,000 in vet bill. Creams, antibiotics, sprays.
No results.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite. DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa. The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The shedding is stopped and the itching is stopped.
Her coat is now soft, it's silky, it's healthy and shiny and glossy.
She's got life, she's got energy.
Tons of energy, no more bad smells.
Dinovite's the bomb.
Dinovite is the best thing that's ever happened to my dogs, besides me, of course.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
We wear fur, and we're damn proud of it.
What?
And our four legs.
And our tail. And we go to the bathroom outside.
Well, we may not be too proud of that. Sniff around, then mark your spot right here. Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Groomer Humor on Pet Life Radio. Before the break, we're just talking about how Anthony, my son, and I got into the grooming business. So, yeah, we're going to hear how Anthony got into it and in his personal experience with how he got into dog grooming. So, Ant, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I never remember not being around dogs and cats. That's never been a part of my life. I've always had pets or been around them at some point. I remember the story you were telling earlier about you, you're sneaking dogs in and, don't tell your mother, don't tell all that. It's funny that because that's what I meant by our stories have some similarities, some differences, because it was definitely that was the opposite for me. I would have been that kid who always brought home dogs and cats or whatever, but there were no strays in my neighborhood because they were all at my house already. because you never stopped doing that. That never ceased. Except the difference was, like you said, once you moved into your own place, and now, my mother, she loves pets too. So, it's not, now you own the house. Not only just, you have an apartment, but now you own a home. So, some of my earliest memories were 8 cats, I think 6 dogs. None of which were the ones that you mentioned before. These were a whole new 8, a whole new 6.
Do you remember any of the cats' names?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. Oh yeah, I remember. There was Tootsie Roll. Right. He was beautiful. Rocky was the same cat, the same kind of cat from Pet Sematary. He was a British blue or a Russian blue.
That's
one
right.
Of those. I think Church from Pet Cemetery is a British blue. Rocky was the most gorgeous one we had. He was big too. He was really big. Mm-hmm. Yep. We had Pussycat 1, Pussycat 2. Mm-hmm. We had 2 of them. Then my favorite one was Simon. Simon was beautiful, and he was my buddy too. He would always be the one. Well, him and Pussycat 1, I believe, they would be the ones that climbed up my chest. Who else was there? Was Prince? Prince was a little bit later. Prince was he was a Himalayan, right?
Yep.
I believe. Yeah. Prince acted like a dog, I remember.
Yeah.
Prince
he used to like his belly rubbed.
Yep. He used to like his belly rubbed.
Uncommon for cats.
Yeah, very uncommon. Yeah. I think I've only ever met like 1 or 2 more cats in my life that like that. Yeah, and am I forgetting anybody? I think there was a few more. Oh, Tika. We had our black cat. Yeah, she was sweet too. Yeah, and then we had the dogs. I remember Lucky. What else was I'm not as good with I don't remember.
Frisco. We had Lucky. We had Frisco. Yep. We had Fudgesicle. We had Marietta. Italian Greyhound. Fudgesicle used to climb fences. He was a little black mini poodle. I would let him out in the backyard, and I would go out 10 minutes later, and he would be on top of the fence with all 4 of his paws through the mesh of the fence. Yep. And the funny thing is, he couldn't get down.
Yeah, right. He'd be there. Right.
Just be there.
Yeah, you get mad at him because it's just, what are you doing? Yep, I remember. Yep, all that. Yeah, that was those are my earliest memories, just being surrounded by animals. So that's why, like to this day, because of that, if ever I go over like a friend's house or something, and they have like a mean dog or something like that, I'm not quite as scared. Not that I'm not afraid of getting bit, but I've just spent so much time around animals that some people get really nervous when they meet a new animal for the first time, even if the dog is a sweetheart or a cat. I've always approached animals so easily because I just don't even know life without them.
Right.
And then, I started coming to visit you at work because you've been a dog groomer as long as I can remember. I think you even started that before I was born. I remember coming to your shop at a very early age.
Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah. I used to have you, sweep up and even start bathing. I would teach you how to bathe early on.
Petrified. I was so scared. I remember the first dog I ever bathed, actually. Mm-hmm. It was a little Shih Tzu. He was really, really sweet. So you let me do it for the first time. I don't really remember how old I was, but I was young. And I had been coming into the shop for a while, and I remember being so scared of getting soap in the dog's eyes. I was so afraid of that because that's one of the most important things, as a groomer. It's one of the main things to watch out for when you're giving a bath. Don't watch with the water in the ears, watch with the soap in the eyes. Right. And I was so scared of that. And I remember doing it. And it was the coolest feeling in the world when you put the dog on the drying table and I said, Daddy, how was the bath? Was it okay? And you were like, it was perfect. And you were, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. Yep. And then, that was like, I can't even believe I remember that, my first bath. Yeah. And then as time went on, I got a little older. So you started trusting me a little bit more. And I was just around it for so long, even at 13 years old, I was just around it already for 5 years on a professional level almost. So that's right. I remember, I would every day after work, I'd go to the store next to us and I'd buy Pokemon cards. And that would be my day. Yeah. And then we just started meshing. It was then I started learning a little bit more and more and I started falling in love with it. And like you said, it's not all easy, it's not all fun by any means, but not by a long shot. But I think just because I was around just so many pets all my entire life, I guess I was sort of made for it. And
it's safe to say that it's not something you really set out to do either.
No.
I think that might be the case in most dog groomers. I don't think it's something that you set set out to do. I think things have changed now. Now the consensus is, no, it's actually an art. It's actually a trade. More and more people are looking to become professional dog groomers. But even when how old are you? 27, 28?
Yep, I'm 27.
I don't even know how old my own son is.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're a bad father.
I'm a bad dad. I'm just a bad dad. I'm a good pet owner.
I'll tell you this: you're a better groomer than you were a father. I'll tell you that. Totally kidding.
No, but the thing is, I think it's important that we address that and continue to address that, because I would love to see more dog groomers. And now, you have apprenticeship, you have bather fluffers, and honestly, I mean this. You groomed dogs better your first time, and I remember how old you were. You were 10. You groomed dogs better your first time than I have seen some people bathe their dogs. I've been doing it for years.
Really?
Oh yeah. Anthony does all the bathing, all the drying in the shop. And when we have a busy day, you're talking about a 7, 8, 9 dog day. It's a very busy day. By the time you're done bathing one dog, you're exhausted. And here's Anthony bathing 8, some of which are golden retrievers, Labrador retrievers, big dogs that just take a lot of time.
Fun dogs to rinse, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
But your hands are raisins by the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that. My friends always say, "Oh, so you bathe dogs? Your hands are probably really dirty." And I actually say, "No, it's actually the opposite. The dogs are dirty, but I have soap on my hands constantly all day long. They look like prunes by the end. I'm constantly washing my hands."
Yep. Whenever I bathe the dog, I have the cleanest fingernails you'll ever have.
Yep, I never have dirty fingernails.
You never have dirty hands. Our hands are always clean. It looks like we haven't worked a day in our life because our hands are actually soft and moisturized because of the dog shampoo and the cream rinse that we use.
Right,
you know what I mean? My hands smell like butterflies.
So what was next? Then came the comedy, actually. Right. Then that was another thing that I always grew up watching you do, because you ended up doing it. You said you ran out your first time, and I know that feeling very well, but you ended up doing it. You got on the stage. So then I was watching you not only groom dogs, but now I'm watching you do comedy, and you were filming yourself. And that, I think, was the moment where I was like, all right, this guy is my hero. How are you doing that? Because that's what I mentioned before. We're going through these 9, 10, sometimes even more, these long dog days. I'm going home. I'm younger. I'm hanging out at home. I'm popping on the PlayStation 2 and at the time, or N64 or whatever it was, and I'm kicking back. I'm saying I'm tired. And you're heading out to drive 2 hours into Pennsylvania to a dive bar to perform in front of 4 people. And I'm just like, what is he doing? But then you would show me your tapes, and I would go, wow, I want to do that. And I remember one of the first times you ever told me to do it, I was like 14 years old, and I was panicking because I was like, Dad, who wants to listen to a 14-year-old talk about life stuff? I'm not a comedian. I'm too young, whatever. But as I got older, I became the kid that would just fall to make his friends laugh. Same stuff you used to do. And I'm the nut. I'm the goofball. I'm the guy that will do anything to make everybody laugh. And I had friends telling me all throughout my life, really, dude, how come you don't do comedy like your dad? You're funny. You're both so funny, And I was so scared. And honestly, it wasn't until a couple years ago where I finally had to share that with you. I finally had to say, because you've been telling me, God, forever, since as long as I can remember, to be a comedian, because we like to be creative. If I don't have anything else, it's that I need to be able to be creative in some way, or just silly. I remember bugging you.
And again, your first time on stage, you killed it, just like you killed the Beth.
Yeah.
See, I'm your dad. I know what you have in you, and believe me. And I'm a realist too. If you weren't funny, or you weren't good at it, I'd be like, hey, maybe you should do this. I don't know, but
like the time I told you I wanted to be a boxer. You were real nice about it, but you said, you sure you don't want to pick up a microphone? Just kind of
the time you wanted to get into MMA.
Yeah, right. The time I wanted to.
But you felt guilty punching a punching bag.
Right. I know. That's the thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't even like killing spiders. I don't like killing anything.
Exactly. But
now I want to punch a human being in the face. What an idiot. Why don't you just go on stage? Just go on stage and do some funny stuff. That'd be better suited for you.
and you won't get hurt.
Yeah, and you won't get hurt. But
not physically.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really like that. Where these stories, when I tell them, because it's you reflect on them when you're alone, but it's not until you say it out loud that you really kind of hear your own story, because it's always in your head. So you got your memories, but like to actually tell the story. It's amazing to see where we are now at this stage in life, because like you never set out to be a dog groomer. You set out to be a comedian. I never set out to be a dog groomer. I sort of set out to be like you as much as I could, because from as far back as I could remember, you were always just the coolest dad in the world. So then you were a dog groomer. So I was like, well, time to do that, because that seems cool. And then you were a comedian. And as much as I didn't want to do that, it was calling to me. So I was like, I guess I got to do that. And now to see, it's amazing. I'm like really happy with where we're at, because it's grown. The business has grown. We've begun doing the comedy thing together. We've always done the grooming thing together. Now we're doing the comedy thing together. Now we're doing the show together. I don't know that I can do it without you.
I definitely can't
what I mean?
do it without you.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to either. It's just what you make it fun, and that's why I'm happy that we have this opportunity to, and not every show is going to be like this. It's not just always going to be, background or whatever. We have stuff that, serious things and funny things that we want to talk about. But, that's why I'm glad we had the opportunity to do this, because I want anybody who's listening, anybody who has an interest in hearing some of this stuff, some of our ideas or some of our thoughts, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to sort of shed some light on where we came from. We're just this father and son groomer comedian team from New Jersey. It might not be something that you hear every day, and I'm really happy that we had this opportunity to sort of tell that story and get to know everybody. I want all you guys to get to know us just as much as I want to get to know you guys. That's...
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm
definitely
very excited about that. That we may be out of time.
Yeah, I think so.
But like I said, we have a lot. Not every episode is just going to be us spouting off about ourselves. We just kind of wanted to do that this time, just so that you guys knew, sort of had a look into the lives of the two guys that are going to be bringing you the show. So, but
we're going to spout out about ourselves too, though.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah, we'll be spouting out about ourselves plenty. But just in case anybody's like confused, we are groomers. There's going to be plenty more dog talk and cat talk, and
there's going to be a lot to learn here about pets.
Yeah, just about all things. I mean, hell, even lovebirds made it into our first episode. So there's no telling what it could be. So we're about out of time. I want to thank Mark Winter for helping us do this. It's because of him that we're able to put this together, and we're really thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really quick before we go, just wanted to tell you guys that we do have a YouTube channel. It's called Grooming by Rudy. We post a lot of stuff on there. We get as many videos out there as we can. We do 1 or 2 videos a week. We do, grooming tips, demonstrations. We do some funny stuff. It's called Comedy Cuts. I do a segment called Talking Paws where, it's sort of the same thing, like tips and, little tricks and stuff. I just recently did a top 5 Halloween costumes for this year. So, just fun stuff like that. Just everything and anything grooming and comedy. So, be sure to go check that out. Go give us some subscriptions and some views, and make sure to drop some likes. We'd love to hear from you guys. Leave some comments, and that's about it.
Thank you, Pet Life Radio.
Thank you, Pet Life Radio. And until next time, we'll see you guys again.
Thanks, guys.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.